What if I told you? You're already provided for. Before the bank account fills, before the job offer comes, before the numbers add up. Provision has already been written into your story, but the world conditioned you to believe you have to hustle for everything. To wake up tired, grind until you break, and still wonder if it's enough. Chosen one, you were never meant to live like that. There's another way. A higher way. One that doesn't burn you out, but lifts you up. Where blessings flow not through force, but through favor. Where you don't chase, you attract. And it's not because you're lucky, it's because you're aligned. You're stepping into a spiritual economy where God's hand replaces human strain, where trust outperforms tactics, where rest becomes the most powerful move you can make. If you've ever sat in silence wondering how much longer you can keep carrying it all, this message found you for a reason. Because you're not just due for a breakthrough, you're due for a complete shift. So take a deep breath. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You just need to remember who you are. Like this video if you feel this in your spirit. Subscribe if you're ready to stop surviving and start receiving. And drop a $9.99 in the comments if you're claiming this shift. You're not watching by accident. Heaven scheduled this moment. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Escaping the Hustle Trap. From the moment we're old enough to understand the world, we're taught one thing: work hard, and maybe, just maybe, you'll have enough. It's a mindset so deeply ingrained that anything outside of it feels wrong, even impossible. We glorify exhaustion, wear stress like a badge of honor, and measure our worth by how busy we are. But, chosen one, what if I told you that this system was never designed with your freedom in mind? What if the very hustle you've been taught to worship is actually a trap? You've felt it, haven't you? That nagging feeling that no matter how much you do, it's never enough. The late nights, the early mornings, the endless striving, only to stay afloat. Society convinced you that rest equals laziness and that ease is suspicious. But deep down, your spirit has been whispering something different. There has to be another way. And there is. But it's not found in the systems of this world. It's found in alignment with the divine. God never intended for his chosen ones to be slaves to survival. Yes, there are seasons of work, of building, of learning discipline. But you were never meant to stay in a perpetual state of striving. The world told you to hustle harder. Heaven says, "Come into my rest." Let's be clear. This isn't about quitting your job or abandoning responsibility. It's about recognizing that your job was never your true source. The paycheck, the promotions, the side hustles, they are channels, not the provider. For years you've carried silent burdens, smiling while stressed, giving while empty, fighting battles no one saw just to keep life together. God saw every tear you wiped away in secret, every moment you wanted to give up but didn't. And now, heaven is interrupting your cycle of struggle with a divine invitation. Step out of the hustle trap and into my provision. You see, chosen one, the hustle mindset is built on fear. Fear of not having enough, fear of falling behind, fear of being seen as unworthy. But God operates on a different frequency, one of abundance, peace, and identity. When you align with him, you realize that provision isn't something you earn through exhaustion. It's something you inherit through connection. Think about this. Birds don't clock in to earn their meals. Flowers don't toil to bloom. Yet they are always provided for. How much more will God provide for you, his chosen? But here's the challenge. Letting go of the belief that you have to struggle to be blessed. That mindset is hard to break because it's all you've known. You've been praised for how much you endure, not how much you trust. But the truth is, endurance without alignment only leads to burnout. God is calling you higher, not to do more, but to believe differently. This shift begins when you stop asking, "How can I work harder?" and start asking, "How can I trust deeper?" When you stop measuring success by how tired you are and start measuring it by how peaceful you feel, there's a reason why doors that should have opened didn't, why opportunities you chased kept slipping away. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. God wasn't punishing you. He was protecting you from being trapped in a life of endless grind with no grace. You've reached the point where heaven is saying, enough. Enough of thinking you have to carry it all. Enough of believing that rest is dangerous. Enough of living like your value depends on your productivity. Chosen one, you were never designed to live at the mercy of worldly systems. You carry a divine identity, and with that comes access to a different flow, a flow where provision meets you, where opportunities align without force, where favor opens doors no resume ever could. But to walk in this, you must release the hustle mentality. You must trust that God's provision isn't fragile. It doesn't dry up if you dare to pause. In fact, it accelerates when you stop striving and start surrendering. Let me ask you, when was the last time you truly rested without guilt? When was the last time you believed that ease could be holy? This is your wake-up call. The hustle trap ends here. Not because you've figured out a better strategy, but because you're finally aligned with the truth. God is your source. He always has been. As you step into this new awareness, you'll notice something incredible. What used to require endless effort will now come with surprising ease. People will start offering help without you asking. Resources will appear from places you never considered. And you'll begin to understand that this isn't luck. It's divine design. The world may not understand it. They'll still be running on the treadmill of toil, wondering how you're living in peace while they're burning out. But you'll know. You'll know that the moment you stopped hustling for survival was the moment heaven started releasing what was already yours. So, chosen one, I invite you to pause, breathe, let go of the pressure to perform. You're not falling behind, you're finally stepping ahead into the life God intended for you all along. This is just the beginning. The days of striving are over. The days of receiving have begun. Chapter 2. The moment heaven stepped in. There's a quiet moment in every chosen one's life, a moment where everything shifts, but not in the way the world expects. It's not announced with fireworks or a dramatic breakthrough. It's subtle, almost invisible to the outside eye. But within you, something profound happens. It's the moment heaven steps in. You don't always recognize it right away. Sometimes it feels like life has just paused. The doors you used to push open stop budging. The strength you once relied on feels drained. You look around and wonder, why isn't anything moving? But what feels like a standstill is actually divine intervention. You see, chosen one, God knows when you've reached the end of human effort. He knows when your striving has served its purpose. And instead of letting you run yourself into the ground, He steps in, not to push you harder, but to pull you into a different rhythm. Maybe you've experienced this already. That strange season where nothing made sense, where the things that used to work suddenly didn't, where every attempt to make it happen fell flat. It wasn't failure, it was God's gentle hand redirecting you from force to flow. This is the part many people miss. They think closed doors mean they're being punished or forgotten. But for the chosen ones, a closed door is often the greatest sign of divine love. It's heaven saying, you don't have to live like this anymore. There's a story I once heard about a man who worked tirelessly for years, juggling multiple jobs just to keep food on the table. He believed that if he wasn't exhausted, he wasn't doing enough. One day, after losing his primary job, he fell into despair, thinking God had abandoned him. But what actually happened next was nothing short of miraculous. Opportunities began to appear, not through job listings or applications, but through unexpected phone calls, chance meetings, and offers from people he barely knew. He started consulting, using skills he'd overlooked for years. Within months, he was earning more, working less, and most importantly, he had peace for the first time in decades. That's what happens when heaven steps in. It doesn't just replace what you lost, it redefines how you receive. Chosen one, this divine moment isn't about rewards for hard work. It's about recognizing that you've been invited into a higher way of living. A way where provision is no longer tied to how much you can endure, but how much you can trust. God saw every sleepless night, every silent prayer whispered through tears, every moment you pushed forward when no one was cheering you on. And now he's saying, "Rest, I've got this." But here's the truth. When heaven steps in, it often feels uncomfortable at first. Why? Because you've been conditioned to believe that ease is dangerous, that if you're not struggling, something must be wrong. So when God starts orchestrating blessings without your usual grind, your first reaction might be doubt. How is this happening? Why is this so easy? Do I deserve this? Yes, you do. Not because you earned it, but because you're aligned for it. When your spirit finally surrenders, heaven responds. Opportunities begin to chase you. Provision starts to locate you, not because of your effort, but because of your identity. Think about it. When a royal heir comes of age, they don't beg for their inheritance. It's already theirs by birthright. In the same way, you, as a chosen one, carry a divine inheritance that doesn't require you to prove yourself. It requires you to remember who you are. This is the moment heaven has been waiting for. The moment you stop relying on your own strength and start leaning fully into God's provision. And when that happens, everything changes. You'll notice that people start showing up with solutions before you even voice the problem. Money you forgot about will appear at the exact moment you need it. Doors that were sealed shut will swing open without you lifting a finger. It's not coincidence, it's confirmation. Confirmation that you've shifted from striving to receiving, from survival mode to divine flow. But you must be willing to release the need to control how it all unfolds. The greatest barrier to divine provision isn't lack. It's our insistence on doing things our way. Chosen one, heaven steps in when you step back. The moment you trust that you don't have to hustle for what God already promised is the moment you unlock a life that feels effortless. Not because life got easier, but because you stopped fighting against the current of grace. So if you're in that quiet, confusing space where things seem still, don't panic. That's heaven at work. The less you force, the faster the blessings flow. This is your invitation to lean in, to trust the unseen, to recognize that what's happening behind the scenes is far greater than anything you could orchestrate on your own. The moment heaven stepped in was the moment your life began to align with divine abundance. Now all you have to do is receive. Chapter 3. Redefining Wealth and Success. For most of your life, you were taught a definition of success that never quite felt right. You were told that wealth is measured by numbers in a bank account, job titles on a resume, or the size of your house and car. You were conditioned to believe that the harder you work, the more worthy you are of receiving. But deep inside, chosen one, you always knew. That definition was too small for the life God intended for you. You see, true wealth isn't just money, and success isn't just achievement. It's time to redefine both through heaven's lens, not the world's. Let's start with wealth. Yes, financial provision is a part of God's blessing, but it's not the whole picture. What good is a full bank account if your spirit is empty? What value is there in material riches if your mind is consumed by anxiety, your body worn down by stress, and your relationships fractured by neglect? Real wealth, the kind that God pours into the lives of His chosen ones, is holistic. It covers your finances, yes, but it also covers your peace, your health, your time, your joy, and your purpose. It's waking up in the morning without dread. It's knowing that you're not running on fumes, but on divine fuel. It's having enough, not just to survive, but to give, to rest, to enjoy, and to build a legacy. Chosen one, you weren't called to chase paychecks. You were called to walk in provision with purpose. The world will try to convince you that wealth comes through endless hustle, that success is the reward for sacrificing your well-being. But heaven's system operates differently. In God's economy, alignment creates abundance. When you align your spirit with divine timing, favor begins to flow in ways that effort never could. Think of it like this. A river doesn't struggle to flow. It moves naturally because it's aligned with its source. You too are designed to live in flow, not in force. But here's where many chosen ones get stuck. We've been so conditioned by the grind mentality that when provision comes easily, we question it. We feel guilty for resting. We wonder if we've done enough to deserve the blessing. Let me be clear. You are not blessed because you've exhausted yourself. You are blessed because you are positioned. Positioned as a child of God, an heir to a divine inheritance that doesn't run out when you stop working. It expands when you start trusting. Success, in the divine sense, isn't about climbing ladders or outperforming others. It's about fulfilling your assignment in peace, knowing that everything you need will meet you along the way. Look at the stories of those who truly walk in divine favor. Their greatest breakthroughs didn't come from burnout. They came when they surrendered. When they let go of controlling every outcome and allowed God to orchestrate the details. Take, for example, a woman who left her high-stress corporate job, not because she had a backup plan, but because she felt a divine nudge to step into alignment. At first, fear tried to creep in. But within weeks, opportunities aligned. Consulting offers, speaking engagements, creative ideas she never had time to explore before. Her income tripled, but more importantly, her peace multiplied. That's what happens when you redefine success, not as struggle rewarded by scraps, but as alignment rewarded by overflow. Chosen one. It's time to stop measuring your life by the world's broken rulers. Stop thinking that the more exhausted you are, the more worthy you become. God's favor isn't something you earn through suffering. It's something you walk in when you remember who your source is. And let's address something important here. Rest doesn't mean passivity. Trusting in divine provision doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you move when God moves. You act with clarity, not panic. You create from joy, not pressure. You no longer chase opportunities. They recognize you and come your way because your energy is aligned. This is the new definition of wealth and success for you. Peace in your mind. Provision in your hands. Purpose in your heart. Freedom in your time. Joy in your spirit. When you operate from this place, you become a magnet for more. Not because you're grinding for it, but because you're aligned with it. You're no longer living by the sweat of your brow. You're living by the grace of His hand. The world may not understand how you're being blessed without breaking yourself. They'll look for logical explanations. But you'll know, it's not logic, it's divine law. It's the unseen favor that flows to those who dare to trust God over systems. So, chosen one, release the outdated definitions that no longer serve you. Wealth is more than money. Success is more than status. Both are byproducts of alignment, not endless effort. You're stepping into a season where your greatest work will be staying in peace, following divine nudges, and letting provision flow to you, naturally, abundantly. This is what true success looks like in the kingdom, and it's yours now. Chapter 4. Rest is your new resistance. Chosen one, let's talk about something the world fears, and yet heaven commands: rest. You've been taught that rest is a reward you earn after exhaustion, that it's a luxury, something you can only afford once you've pushed yourself to the brink. But here's the truth: the world doesn't want you to know. Rest is not weakness. Rest is warfare. In a world addicted to hustle, constant movement, and noise, choosing to rest becomes an act of spiritual resistance. It's a declaration that you no longer bow to the systems designed to drain you. It's a sign that you understand where your true provision comes from, and it's not from overworking yourself to the point of collapse. Think about it. Why does guilt creep in when you slow down? Why do you feel anxious when life suddenly becomes easier? It's because you were conditioned to believe that value only comes from output, that if you're not struggling, you must be doing something wrong. But God's message to you today is simple and powerful. Rest is holy. Rest is strategic. Rest is your divine right. When you rest, you're not being lazy. You're aligning with heaven's rhythm. You're stepping into a place where God does what you cannot, where your stillness allows His power to move freely on your behalf. Let me remind you, when God created the world, He rested, not because He was tired, but because rest is a completion, a sign that the work is done and everything needed is already in place. Chosen one, you've spent years proving yourself to people, to systems, even to yourself. You've carried burdens that were never yours to bear. But now, God is calling you to lay them down, not just for a moment, but as a new way of life. This isn't about being passive. It's about being peaceful. There's a difference. Peaceful people aren't inactive. They're intentional. They move when led, not when pressured. They know that divine timing outperforms human rushing every single time, and that's exactly where God is positioning you. You've fought enough battles in your own strength. You've spent enough nights worrying about tomorrow. Now your rest is becoming your weapon. Because when you rest, you signal to heaven that you trust God more than your own efforts. The enemy thrives in chaos, in busyness, in burnout. But he loses power the moment you step into peace. Why? Because peace is proof of faith. And faith unlocks doors no amount of hustle ever could. Let me share a story. There was a man who ran a business. For years, he operated in survival mode, working 16-hour days, answering every call, chasing every deal. He wore his exhaustion like a badge of honor. But despite all his effort, breakthroughs were scarce, and stress was constant. One day, after a health scare, he made a radical decision: to prioritize rest. He began setting boundaries, trusting that what was meant for him wouldn't pass him by. At first, fear tried to convince him that everything would fall apart. But the opposite happened. Clients began seeking him out. Partnerships formed effortlessly. His income increased, but more importantly, his peace returned. He realized that his striving had been blocking the very blessings God wanted to release. Chosen one, how many blessings have been delayed? Not because you weren't working hard enough, but because you didn't believe rest could be the key. Here's the spiritual truth. When you step back in faith, heaven steps forward in power. You were never designed to live in constant tension. That tightness in your chest, that racing mind, that fatigue you've normalized, that's not your portion. Your portion is peace, your inheritance is ease, and your proof of alignment is not how busy you are, but how balanced your spirit feels. God is not glorified when you're burnt out. He's glorified when you live in a way that reflects His sufficiency. When people look at your life and see a calm strength, a quiet confidence, an undeniable flow of provision without panic, the world will keep telling you to grind harder. But heaven is whispering, trust deeper. And I know, it feels risky to rest when everyone else is running. It feels counterintuitive to slow down when the pressure says speed up. But that's exactly why rest is resistance. You're refusing to participate in a system designed to keep you exhausted and distracted from your divine source. You're choosing to operate under a higher law, the law of grace over grind. So what does this look like in practical terms? It looks like setting boundaries without apology. It looks like saying no to things that disturb your peace, even if they promise quick gains. It looks like starting your day in stillness, trusting that God will order your steps. It looks like moving when inspired, not when pressured. It looks like embracing moments of quiet, knowing that silence is where heaven speaks the loudest. Chosen one, rest is not just a break from work. It's a posture of trust. It's telling God, I believe you can do more with my surrender than I can with my striving. And when you adopt this posture, you'll notice something miraculous. Things begin to align without your hands forcing them. The right people appear. The right opportunities flow. Solutions come before problems even fully form. Because rest activates a different kind of power, the kind that doesn't drain you, but sustains you. So, release the guilt. Release the fear that rest will cause you to fall behind. You're not falling behind. You're being carried ahead by unseen hands. This is your new reality. Rest is your strategy. Peace is your power. And trust is your gateway to overflow. The world may not understand it, but they'll see the fruit of it. Let them wonder. You know the secret now. Rest isn't the end of productivity. It's the beginning of divine provision. Chapter 5. The Flow of Miracles. Chosen one, miracles were never meant to be rare events in your life. They were meant to be your normal. But the reason so many people miss them is because they're too busy chasing, forcing, and controlling every outcome, thinking that blessings only come through sweat and struggle. You've lived that way too, always in motion, always trying to figure out the how. But now you're being called into something greater, the flow of miracles. Let me tell you something powerful. Miracles don't happen because you work harder. Miracles happen because you align deeper. You've entered a season where things will begin to show up without explanation. Opportunities you didn't apply for. Money you didn't expect. Help from people you've never met. And when it happens, your first instinct might be disbelief. How is this possible? But chosen one, that's exactly how divine provision works. It bypasses logic. It confuses the systems of man. It silences every voice that said you had to earn everything through pain. You see, miracles flow where there's trust. They manifest in the lives of those who stop trying to control every detail and start letting God orchestrate the unseen. Think about the times when you were at your breaking point, when you thought there was no way out, but suddenly something shifted. A bill got paid at the last minute. A door opened when all others were closed. That wasn't coincidence. That was a glimpse of the flow you're stepping into permanently. The difference now? You won't just experience miracles in emergencies. You'll live in a constant current of them. But here's the key. You must stay open. Miracles aren't always loud. They don't always come wrapped the way you expect. Sometimes they arrive quietly, disguised as small opportunities, chance encounters, or ideas whispered into your spirit when you least expect them. The world has taught you to expect struggle. Heaven is teaching you now to expect supply. Let me give you an example. A woman once shared how, after losing her job, she chose not to panic, but to trust. Every day, she would wake up, breathe deeply, and say, "God, I know you've already made a way." Within weeks, unexpected refunds appeared in her account. Friends offered support without knowing her situation. She received a business idea in a dream, something she'd never considered before. That quickly began generating more income than her previous job. That's the flow of miracles in action. Not forced, not chased, but received. Chosen one, this is how your life will begin to operate when you truly surrender the belief that you must hustle for every blessing. When you understand that heaven is not limited by earthly rules, you stop stressing over timelines and start trusting divine timing. The flow begins when you release the need to deserve it. Let that sink in. You don't earn miracles, you align with them. You align by keeping your heart open, your spirit expectant, and your mind free from the clutter of doubt. Miracles are attracted to faith, not fear. They respond to peace, not panic. And here's something even deeper. Sometimes, the miracle isn't just in the provision itself, but in the ease with which it arrives. The real miracle is when you no longer feel anxiety ruling your decisions. When you can rest, knowing that what you need is already on the way. You'll notice this shift when people offer you opportunities without you asking. Money flows from unexpected sources. Solutions appear before problems overwhelm you. You feel a deep inner calm, even when the outside world is chaotic. And when others see this happening in your life, they'll ask, "What's your secret?" You'll smile, because you'll know. It's not a secret, it's a system. A divine system that operates on trust, surrender, and alignment. But be warned, not everyone will understand this flow. Some will question it. Some will doubt you. That's because they're still trapped in the mindset that blessings only come through burnout. Don't let their disbelief disrupt your peace. You're not here to convince anyone. You're here to live as proof. Proof that God provides beyond logic. Proof that miracles weren't just for ancient stories. They're for today. For you. Proof that when a chosen one releases control, heaven releases abundance. So, chosen one, as you move forward, remember this. Stop asking if miracles will come. Start asking, how open am I to receiving them? The flow is already active. You don't need to chase it. You simply need to stay in alignment, trusting that every step you take in peace is a step deeper into divine provision. This is your new reality, a life where miracles don't just visit, they reside. Chapter 6. Becoming a Beacon of Divine Provision. Chosen one, whether you realize it or not, your life is becoming a living testimony. You're not just stepping into a season of provision for yourself, you're being positioned as a beacon, a light that shines in a world trapped by fear, hustle, and scarcity. When God blesses His chosen ones, it's never just about personal comfort. It's about creating a visible example of what happens when someone dares to trust divine provision over human effort. You're becoming that example. Not through loud declarations, but through the quiet power of your peace and the undeniable evidence of favor on your life. People around you will start to notice. They'll see how things begin to align for you, effortlessly. How doors open without you knocking. How resources find you when others are still searching. They'll watch as you remain calm while they scramble, and they'll wonder, how are you doing this? And that's when you'll realize you've become a reflection of heaven's goodness on earth. But here's something important. Chosen one. With blessings comes visibility. And with visibility comes misunderstanding. Not everyone will celebrate your ease. Some will question it. Some will whisper that you must be lucky or assume you've taken shortcuts. That's because they're still bound by a mindset that says success must come through suffering. Do not let their limited perception shrink your light. You weren't called to fit into broken systems. You were called to stand out as proof that God's ways are higher. Your life will silently preach a message louder than words ever could. This is what happens when you stop striving and start surrendering. But becoming a beacon isn't just about receiving blessings, it's about how you carry them. You see, anyone can receive a gift. But it takes spiritual maturity to hold blessings without guilt, without shrinking, and without feeling the need to explain or apologize for them. Let me tell you, you don't owe anyone an explanation for God's favor. You don't have to justify why provision flows to you so easily now. You don't have to dim your joy to make others comfortable. The blessings in your life are not accidents. They are assignments. Assigned to you because God knew you would handle them with gratitude, wisdom, and humility. And here's the beauty of it. The more you embrace this role as a beacon, the more heaven will entrust to you. Why? Because God knows that a heart aligned with Him won't hoard blessings, it will radiate them. Your peace will inspire others to seek their own alignment. Your provision will remind others that they, too, are not meant to live in lack. Your life will become a roadmap for those still trapped in survival mode. But don't mistake this for pressure. It's a privilege. You're not being asked to save anyone. You're simply being asked to live fully in the flow, knowing that your existence alone is a light in dark places. Remember this: when God elevates you, it's not just to change your circumstances, it's to shift atmospheres wherever you go. Your presence will carry the frequency of abundance, and people will feel it before you even speak. You'll walk into rooms and opportunities will stir. You'll have conversations and hearts will be encouraged. You'll rest, and still things will move on your behalf. That's the mark of someone who has become a beacon of divine provision. But chosen one, stay grounded in this truth. Your value was never in the blessings. It was always in your alignment with the source. The miracles, the resources, the opportunities, they're simply the fruit of your trust. So, as more flows into your life, keep your heart anchored. Keep your spirit open, your gratitude overflowing, and your eyes fixed on the one who provides. Because this is just the beginning. You are now walking proof that favor outruns effort. That peace attracts provision. That those who dare to rest in God's promises will live lives that confuse the world and glorify heaven. So stand tall, chosen one. Shine without fear. Receive without guilt. And walk boldly in the flow that was always meant for you. You're not just living in divine provision. You are divine provision in motion. Final chapter. Your new normal. Overflow. Chosen one, take a moment and breathe this in. This peace, this provision, this flow. It's not temporary. It's your new normal. No longer will you live from emergency to emergency. No longer will you panic over provision, exhaust yourself in survival mode, or question your worth based on productivity. That season is over. You've crossed over into something sacred, the realm of divine ease. From this moment forward, your life will operate on a different frequency. One where what you need finds you, not because you chased it, but because you were aligned with it. Where answers arrive before the question is fully formed. Where grace meets you before guilt can. You're not behind. You're not lacking. You are ahead of your old self. And what's waiting for you is more than money. It's wholeness. The beauty of this overflow isn't in just receiving it. It's in realizing that it was always meant for you. You're not being spoiled. You're being restored. You're not stealing anyone's share. You're finally taking hold of what God set aside for you before you even knew to ask. This isn't fantasy. This is faith fulfilled. Provision will no longer shock you. It will sustain you. Peace will no longer be rare. It will anchor you. And joy will become your daily companion. So when the next blessing comes, don't flinch. When the miracle appears, don't downplay it. When the ease shows up, don't question it. Smile. Receive. And remember, this is who you are now. This is how life is meant to feel. You're not just living in the light. You are the light. If you're ready to walk boldly in this new reality, like this video, subscribe, and comment 777 below to claim your overflow. Your time has come, and heaven is not holding back anymore.